Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. It's like I was getting ready for some other. I have so many things I need to talk to you guys about, but one at a time. Right now, I have literally about a list of 1 to 200, but one at a time. And I keep saying I'm going to finish this novel. But I'm at a point where I'm like, in order for me to get to some of these in time for them to click, I would literally have to spend almost an entire week of just recording and loading. But whatever. Anyways, I am the handicapable black woman. I talk politics. I tell real life stories, and a lot of the real life stories blend and mold in different ways within different subjects. And I talk a lot about mental health, the Gray Sheep Society, which I am starting especially on Patreon, where you can get, like, if you watch my dating nightmare episodes, those are real messages that I get. When men call me a slave and the N word and tell me I shouldn't be alive and different things like that, all of those are real. And all of them wrote me. I never wrote any of these men first. Not one. Not one. And the women that write me because they say that I should be ashamed of myself. Okay, if your husband or if your boyfriend wrote me, I don't know. Like, see, it's like, I think there's a dating app in, I want to say South Korea or Japan. Like, it's one of the, like, in that arena, that area, where it's like they actually, like, they created a government, like, dating app, and you have to verify that you are single to be on the app. And to me, I'm just like, hallelujah, we need that. America needs that, because I have caught some of the men on my own, but I'm not psychic, and some men have learned so much and so well of how to disguise the fact that they are. And so, but yeah, that'll be another subject for, but it is a dating nightmare kind of. But sadly, I don't have the screenshots because I only spoke to this guy for like, or text on Bumble for like 10, 20 minutes. And each time I would just kind of put my phone down while I'm typing and everything like that. But yeah, a guy just, like, after we matched, I wrote him. And then a few hours later, he wrote me. And I guess, like, one thing that I've noticed a lot is that once I tell a guy that either I'm working on my projects or I'm writing my novel or I'm working on my greeting cards, because there was a time where I was like, oh, like, I was like, okay, pause the novel if I can at least get 30 to 70 of my greeting cards up on Etsy, which I'm still going to be working on. But if I can at least get that, I can at least start, with the advertising and things like that. And so it's like I have a timeline and stuff. But anyway, a lot of times when I tell guys what I'm working on, what I'm doing, he's not the first one to block me for it. And he, like, before he blocked me, like, I read the message, but then all of a sudden it went kaplooey, disappeared. And he was just like, well, I don't have time for a woman trying to start a business. Women aren't supposed to start businesses anyway. And this is a liberal. I only date liberal. So seeing that message, it was just like, these alpha male garbage, crappy influencer, whatever. It's just, what's wrong with a woman running her own business? And it's even getting to the liberals. And that's one of the reasons, like, I've never said liberals, progressives, and Democrats are perfect. I've never said that. But at the same time, I will never, ever date a conservative Republican. No. MAGA, never. No. Never, never, ever. Ooh, no. Because it's like, so The rest of the conversation was great, though. We talked a little bit about politics and everything, but when it comes to women, which I know now that I'm thinking of it about it, on his profile, when it asks like what areas do you focus on, or do you, like, I forgot the exact thing, but you get to talk about, is it voter rights, immigrants, things like that, or whatever. Nothing about women were on there, so it's kind of clicking. It's kind of making sense, but it might made me think about Mr. No Heart. And yes, I'm going to start that series soon of the over 40 reasons why I broke up with Mr. No Heart. But with with him, one of the reasons I broke up with him was because when I wanted to start a business, he kept mocking me and putting me down, or telling me no one's going to buy it, no one's going to care, no one's going to do this, no one's going to do that. And it was just to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not, like, I mean, he would even hint things that I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't be doing that, or just all of the terrible things he would say. But, uh, or even he would ask me, like, how did you come up with that? It was like, it must have been pretty easy because it came from you, stuff like that. And then, because this was about the first 2 or 3 years of our relationship, he would do that. But then all of a sudden, once the medical marijuana stuff started, coming about, he begged me to start a business. I already talked about this in another episode, but next thing I know, it was like he gave me a tour of his house, of how we could run it and all this other stuff. And then I'm looking up online, because he didn't care if we did it the legal way. I did. And so he's begging me and telling me, like, we're going to do this and this and this. And he kind of gave me an option, but gaslighting me with the option. You're the one that's always wanted to own a business. You want to own a business. I know all about this. So this is your one-time opportunity. This is your only chance, even though all of my ideas, yeah. But since this was his idea, and since like before it was legal, he used to grow it up north for years and years, and puff puff pass with his mother illegally. Well, yeah, yeah. But then, like, his mom used to say so many awful things about African Americans, and even like when she told me about how each and one of her children ended up arrested and in jail. But then when I told her none of my siblings have ever been arrested or in jail, she got upset with me. She literally got upset with me. And she even went to my ex asking him if he could convince me to tell him, or see if I was lying about that. But anyway, so you already know that he talked me into starting the business, but it's like I went different route than he did. I looked up all the sites, all the materials, I paid for the licenses, and I got the paperwork, I took classes, and it's like I paid for all of that. But then this man was so broke, he still owes me thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. But anyway, I don't have any money for the equipment, so we're gonna need your help. But yeah, it's like, don't worry, because once we start the business, every month we're gonna put money back onto your credit card so we can pay it off and everything. Don't worry, this is gonna help your credit. Don't worry, we're gonna get your stuff together. You're gonna be so set. Then we're gonna be starting to make money, and then you can start paying your student loans and stuff. Like, because he knew that I was working as hard as I could to start paying off my student loans, and I was trying to like get my credit score up because I wanted to save for a house, and I was working like 3 jobs. Yeah, 2 or 3 jobs for 4 or 5 years in a row. I was working 2 or 3. And so we used my credit card, but then less than 6 months of of him growing and everything, since everything was at his house, which he still owes me all of my equipment. And he got mad when I told him that I want my, like, I'm just like, because he never paid a dime. He never gave me a penny, a dime, nothing, zilch, nada. But then, and he puffed like three-fourths of it, majority of it. So, yeah. But then I already told you guys about like my children's books and novels, which you see that stuff at the end of the video. And it's crazy because like he didn't want anything to do with it. Like I didn't want him to help me with it or whatever, but after I was done with the very rough draft, which now it's so different, but it's like it would have been nice if I could have had a guy, or my man reading my rough draft. And even if it was harsh or whatever, it's like I was and am determined to publish it. There were times where I wanted to give up when he told me that, oh, I'll only read it if you ever publish it. What he said. I'll only read it if you publish it. And he knew how much it hurt. But I didn't know how evil. I mean, I knew he was evil and mean, but I thought it was because he had a broken heart because of his ex-wife cheating on him with the dishwasher guy at the bar she was karaokeing at. I thought that's why. Because everyone was telling me, oh, don't worry. Once he's over his ex-wife, I'm like, shouldn't he already be over his ex-wife? Well, his heart's still healing. Once it heals, he's gonna treat you better. It's like even his racist, no good, bigoted mother. You're the best thing that's ever happened to him. I can't believe like you are so great. You're so this and whatever. But I kept noticing things. But especially since I have a disability, part of me was just like, well, there's not gonna be many amazing guys that's gonna tolerate my disability. And till this day, that stands true. Once I say I have a disability, or my business, or being black, or whatever, it's like, yeah. and and me still wanting children or adopting. Yeah, it's like, so a lot of people blame me, but part of me feels like, and a lot of men tell me, if you just date a man that's not your type, if you just date a man that's your opposite, yeah, and that turns into divorce. And Republicans are trying to make divorce harder. So you really expect me to settle for a man? You expect me to settle for a man that I don't even care that much? Like, we don't have anything in common. The things that come out of his mouth, I'm just like, that was absolutely stupid. Or, I dated or married a moron. I don't want to say that. I never want to say that. And for 7 years, I ended up doing that because my disability, because I thought no one else is going to ever want me, love me, or marry me, just like my mother said. And I was scared of that. It's like, I feel like some people are so quick to settle. Some people like run to the altar because it's like they're willing to settle for love because at least they have it. As long as they have it, like even if they still feel empty, even if they still don't feel fulfilled, at least they found it. I don't want it if it doesn't fit with me. And so it's like this one guy, like I don't know, it's just like I don't have time for a woman starting a business or creating a business. And part of me is just like, if he could have explained why, or has he run into other women that tried, but then did they waste their money? Did they like, it's like, because especially I'm a nerd with my, like, I invest. I had like, especially with my disability, like I had to spend a lot of my backup money. But when I worked those 2 or 3 jobs, it's like, yeah, I was saving like nobody's business. It's like, yes, I was investing. And then I was like paying off credit card and I was paying off student loans, but then I also put some in a savings account and I was getting that together in order to make sure that I always had like an emergency fund. And like especially with the terrible like health insurance I got from the inner city school that I worked at, it's like I still remember getting that medical bill in the mail because I had to get some MRIs, some blood work, and some other things, like over 21 blood things at the same time. Oh, I still remember that appointment. But the doctor was so sweet and so nice because when I walked in, she was just like, Dr. Biondo did this, didn't he? And I nodded. And she looked at the paperwork. She was like, "This some." It's like I just remember she was like, "This is some." It's like she spoke like, and she was like, "Pardon my language," but she was like, and I was just like, "I'm just trying to find the answer," because this is while I was in so much pain. I could still kind of walk, but it's like I remember. I think I was just then starting to teach at one of the community colleges, and I just remember go to the class, sit down, and I try to go early and before the students so they wouldn't see how bad my walking was. But I was in so much pain. And, oh, but yeah, I was hustling. I was doing my thing. I was saving money and then trying to start that business with that jerk. And he closed it down, didn't pay me a penny, not one penny. But now he has all of the equipment at his house. And he has some of my property. When I couldn't drive to, before we broke up, because I broke up with him during COVID, but before COVID, when I couldn't walk in, I was waiting on, like, doctors were testing to see what's wrong, but this is before the surgery. I asked him, "Can you return my property?" And he was like, "No, this will encourage you. It's like your property being at my house. This will make you heal faster. So now you'll be determined to start driving again, and then you'll be driving at my house again." He just tried to train me. The more that I think about our relationship, especially over the last few months while creating my Grim Reaper novel, it's like I was just like, oh, huh. I get why he did this to me now. I get why he kept saying that to me now. I see that he took advantage, and that's all, yeah. But then after dating him, I already told you guys about Tomas. And I have the screenshots and everything of some of that situation. But he broke up with me because, like, I was so excited to have my second or third children's book up on, um, like, well, Amazon. I'm working on getting it on other sites. But remember, like, just, yeah, go back, like, because it's a long story of why I rushed to be an author. So like, it's one of the medical nightmare episodes. So, but I was so excited because I was his girlfriend. He asked me to be his girlfriend after our first date. It's like we talked for months and stuff because this was during kind of COVID, but near the end of when people were like right when people could be vaccinated. It was about 2 or 3, no, maybe about a month after the vaccine and everything. So, we were all starting to go outside and stuff and everything. But yeah, he asked me to be his girlfriend and everything. But I made the mistake and I showed him a screenshot of my book on Amazon. And he ghosted me after that. And later he told me that he broke up with me because he said he could never level up to an author. He could never be at my like um requirements or whatever. And I'm just like, you're part owner of an auto shop. One of the reasons why we clicked and we talked until the sun came up was because of our passions and our thoughts on our businesses and our goals and things that we wanted to achieve. Because he knows like the nonprofit I want to do, especially like I want to like create something to a point where I help out a lot of food pantries. It's like he knows about that, and he told me about part of his past and everything. And but then other guys, they like one guy, Steven, ugh, he can't like, and it was, let's just say there's so many men who they pretend either they pretended that they were so impressed until I like, cause some of them I was just like, he's not serious or whatever. But then they kept on and they kept on, they kept on. So now I just block them when I see that pattern, because I'm like, it's kind of like love bombing. It's like if it feels like how Mr. Lockakey or Mr. No Heart were at the beginning of their relationships, I don't have time for that anymore. So, no. But then there's some, or on the other spectrum, I've had men who tell me, if you go to grad school, if you start a business, if you write your novel, if you do, because I actually had a man tell me, well, if you date me, you're deleting that novel. No one's gonna read it. I'll make sure of that. And I'm like, excuse me? And he was just like, I want you focused on our kids. It's like, I've got three I need your help with, and I want some more. So that's what I'm gonna need you. That's what I'm going to need you to focus on. That's what that jerk actually tried to tell me. That's what that jerk actually tried to tell me. Who? The audacity. The actual audacity. And there's one other guy right now who is like, we matched again on Bumble. And I'm open minded and everything like that, but speaking of relations, like yeah, at the beginning, like yeah, you didn't think I mentioned that whole dating relationship thing on yeah, but if you're married with a wife or a husband, that should be on your profile, or that should be one of the first things you say to that person you're talking to, because yeah, this guy has a husband. Yeah, yeah. And I'm not going to say much of what he wants with the relationship. Maybe down the road I will, but it's like we talked on Bubble for 2 or 3 weeks. He didn't mention it for like no, actually it was, I think it might have been almost a month. Okay, but I'll say at least 2 or 3 weeks. But then he asked me for my number or whatever, and I'm just like, well, it has been 2 or 3 weeks, so it's like maybe we can at least talk or whatever. But then it wasn't until the phone call and late, like we talked for like 3 or 4 hours, then you're gonna bring that up. And then with my businesses or whatever, I was like, I've been kind of depressed lately, so I just kind of mentioned some of the things that I'm just kind of going through, and he said something so mean. So then I was like, okay, then never mind, bye. And how come he's messaged me so many times over the last 10 days? Yeah, it's been 10 days now. And a few days ago, he literally asked me if I wanted money. Yeah, he asked me if I wanted money. And then he got on Snapchat and tried to give me an invite. So glad that it's under his name. It's under his name. And now he's trying to write me back on Bumble. And some people are like, why didn't you block him on Bumble? Because I've had people, once I block them, then they erase the account, make a new account and everything like that. And then like, yeah, there's different ways where you can get unblocked from the person that blocked you. And then they'll try to change the pictures and shave their facial hair. Yeah, let's just say a few men have done that and they've tried that, especially conservative men. Because there was one guy who, it's like if they don't have their political party, then it's like, but I'm still like, huh. It's like, well, let's find out. I don't do that anymore. If I don't see a political like association or if I see apolitical, I swipe left. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for games. And like I said, liberal men does not mean I'm a good match, which you can tell. Yeah, with that one guy, you can tell. Because, okay, if you don't want, and I think even in the message, it's like either he doesn't like that I'm starting a business or he doesn't like that I'm not going to be exactly specific with it because he kept trying to ask me more information about it, but I've already learned don't do that either because there was one guy who he's a right like no he's not a right like I forgot what like he's starting a business but like turns out that he was like, oh my gosh, tell me about your book and oh my gosh, your imagination, like love bombing. And then next thing I know, he told me he was going to hire a ghostwriter to write a version of my book, but he said he knows his ghostwriter will be faster with it, so his will be out before mine. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why can't you just come up with your own idea? And he was like, well, if you want the idea back, you'll have to pay me for it. Yeah, I've met some great men. Yeah, he was apolitical too. How do I remember that? Yeah, talk because like I used to like I kind of understood apolitical, but I didn't understand apolitical. But part of me just feels like apolitical is kind of a stance where I don't care if we have segregation again. I don't care if women doesn't have any rights again. It's like I'm not going to stay in the middle because that's just going to like cause conflict. So I don't care if you lose your rights. I don't care if you gain your rights. That's up to you. That's kind of how and I could be wrong. They say you can start the discussion down below and everything, but it's like with the apolitical men that I've ended up talking to, that's how it feels. Because especially when I talk about the disability rights and things like that, and some of the men who tell me that's not true, that's not right, then I literally have to go to .gov websites and get screenshot and send it to them. And then they still try to tell me, well, it must have changed by now. I was like, no, that's current, that's right now. And then there was even some apolitical men, they were like, well, I think women would enjoy the kitchen again. It's like they don't have to go out, they don't have to do this. Like, do you know? Like depression was at its highest peak during that time. Like a lot of women keep saying, I want to go back to those days. Like, mm-hmm. And especially once the kids graduated and left the house, a lot of them, their depression got even worse because they were like, I have no purpose. But anyway, thank you for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human and you're human too. But please don't think that these men or women, or please don't think that these people just don't let them ruin your life or what you want to achieve, what you want to do, as long as it's good for everybody. Like some people want to ruin and damage the earth. Yeah, look at Republicans right now. So yeah. So I just I have to tie that. Yeah, I have to think about that too, because some people love what is going on in our country right now. Some people love the fact that some places are literally starting segregation again. Some love that women are not able to have like abortions because the baby that's inside them might literally eliminate them from the earth because of atopical pregnancy. But yeah. Anyways, next episode.